There is a story right now of one of the worst serial killers I've ever heard about in American history. The trial just was going on, just within the last couple of weeks, and you probably haven't heard about it. This is Billy Chemirmir. Billy Chemirmir is, he looks like kind of like a middle-aged guy, middle-aged, a little bit younger. He's an immigrant from Kenya. He became a permanent U.S. resident in 2007. Billy Chemirmir was arrested in March of 2018 after a 91-year-old woman, Mary Annis Bartel, said that a man forced his way into her apartment at an independent living community for older people in the Dallas suburb of Plano and attacked her and tried to steal her stuff. And then the authorities looked into this guy, and he had a ton of jewelry and cash, and they linked him to the murders of 18 old women. 18 women in their 80s and their 90s. He would break into their homes, murder them, and steal their jewelry and their money. We've got at least 18 here. The evidence is overwhelming that this guy did it. There is no way to look at the evidence, at even a tenth of the evidence, and say this guy didn't do it. But there's a mistrial because 11 jurors said it's obviously the case, and then there's one juror who said no, one intransigent juror, whether this was jury nullification or this was a political activist or something, but they wouldn't do it. So it's a mistrial. This guy, it looks like he's just going to get off the hook for murdering 18 old women in cold blood and stealing their jewels. And probably the even greater scandal than that is that you're not going to hear about it because this doesn't go along with the media narrative. Potentially one of the worst serial killers in American history may well get off the hook because of a mistrial, because of a hung jury, because one juror seems to be holding out. Again, we don't know. We don't have totally solid reports on obviously exactly what's going on in the jury room. But overwhelming evidence that this guy murdered 18 old women and stole their stuff. But one juror, for whatever reason, doesn't want to convict. And you haven't heard about it. Whatever the jury is dealing with, whatever was going on in the trial, you haven't heard about it. Why? Because it contradicts the media narrative. The guy who did it was black, not white. But according to the media narrative, all black people good, all white people bad. Black Lives Matter is the greatest, most wonderful, peaceful organization in the world, even though they burned the country down for 8 months and killed dozens of people. But if white people do anything that is in any way questionable, it's really bad. It wasn't just white people, but there were a lot of white people at the Capitol Hill incident on January 6th, and that's being called the worst terrorist attack in history. So the black and white thing, that doesn't work. He's an immigrant, but immigrants good, native-born Americans bad. So that doesn't work out very well at all. And so they're not going to talk about it. They're not going to talk about this sort of thing. That is a scandal. And we need to see, and what's going on with this jury, we have no idea. 18 older women. Think of your grandmother, murdered in cold blood for some jewels. 12.5 times. How would I say that? 1.5 dozen times? I don't know. 18 times we're talking about. Not a peep. Not a peep because of the racial narratives of the left, largely, I think. And the immigrant narratives and the broader political narratives. Did you like that clip? Be honest. I can take it. Did you? Well, if you did, even if you didn't, please subscribe, ring that bell, get the notifications for when I have new videos out. And if you really want to get the notifications, head on over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, wherever you get your audio podcasts. Type in The Michael Knowles Show. Boom. Subscribe. Boom. 5-star review. Boom. See you next time.